So I have been holding on to a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of thoughts regarding transgender children. And why not? Why not? Because this is just astonishing. Okay. So so CPS gets a call regarding domestic violence in my home. And this is what they come up with. This is what they initially left me with 2 years ago. Somehow, domestic violence turns into they honed in on my oldest child, who is trans. And I'm left all of these wonderful sheets about how to deal with my trans child. This is CPS. It's initially started in school. My child came out when she was, 9, saying that she was trans. And I wasn't aware that anybody knew about this until I got a call from the school one day that said, hey, your son Rowan has been in an altercation at the school, and we need you to come pick him up. And they were at some rally or football game or some after school event where they were hanging outside, and and I get this call, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you've got the wrong number. I don't have a son, Rowan. And I hear my daughter in the background. Mom, it's me. And I'm like, what? What on earth are you talking about? So of course I go and get my kid. And I find out that everybody has changed my child's name, and I was the last person to know about it. And I had some feelings about that. And nobody really cared about anything I had to say about that. I was, when you ask questions, when you want to have conversations with people, when you think that people are open-minded, and, I'm a parent. I'm not a politician. I am not, I advocate for equal rights among people, and, I have absolutely no qualms against people who are gay or bi or trans or, whatever letter of the alphabet you want to use to further label people and I don't know, segregate them even more into specific categories and but then say that we all want equality. I'm a parent first, and I had some questions about these things in some groups and among friends, and this is when I started to realize how narrow-minded my friends actually were, or how narrow-minded these groups I was in actually were. When you want to start having conversations about actual issues, like, first of all, the school. It is my right to name my child. That's my right. Until she's 18, until she changes her own name, until she's an adult, giving her a name was my right. Because that name means something. And every time I speak her name, there is a meaning behind it. There is a blessing that I'm bestowing upon her when her name is spoken. And there's a power to that. And so I wasn't happy about that right being taken away from me. But, you also took away what I consider to be a teachable moment for my child. Something along the lines of, you're asking for a level of respect from your teachers and other authoritative figures that you haven't been willing to give yet. And she's not a bad kid. She's not a bad kid in class, but she'd screw off and not do her homework and, get busted talking back to teachers. And so now you're telling teachers, adults, that they have to respect her as a child, and you have asked nothing in return from her. You have not demanded respect from her in order to gain the respect that she needs to earn as a child. And I was really pissed off about that. Because, you need to be doing your homework, kid. You need to be paying attention to class. You need to be showing respect to your teachers if you're going to ask for a level of respect be shown to you. So now you've given my kid a sense of entitlement that I don't appreciate. I have other questions like, hey, I'm a mom, right? Why am I going to teach my child or why am I going to lead my child to believe that something was inherently wrong with her when she was born? Because that's my kid. There's nothing wrong with her. She is who she is and needs to learn how to love herself the way she is for whatever phase she goes through. And even if this being trans is not a phase, you know what? Tomorrow you're going to look gothic. The next day you might want to wear makeup and look gothic. The next day you might want to wear guys' pants because you have cramps in your belly, and men's jeans are a lot more comfortable and they have pockets, for crying out loud. And, the next day you might listen to different music, and you don't have to succumb to any labels at any time. And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. Maybe we need to teach our kids about masculine and feminine energies that exist inside of people. And somehow, the gender roles that society has given to people doesn't necessarily mean that you're a man trapped in a woman's body or that you're a woman trapped in a man's body. There's some serious, psychological turmoil that people go through when they feel like they're not accepted, or they feel like they're, just wonky for whatever reasons, any reason at all. And as a child, all kids go through this for one reason or another. So this is no excuse. This is no excuse. Let's talk about this. And let me teach you how to love yourself through whatever you're going to go through before we settle on, hey, this label or this is what you're dealing with. And we can work through that if it is. And if it's not, then, because she's also had anxiety disorders and other issues that she picked up from fucking school. Thank you. When teachers called me and said she defaced her yearbook, it was so bad. She drew all over the principal. She drew measles on him, and it was so bad we couldn't even show him. But we made her write an apology letter anyway. And that was the day I should have stood up and walked to that fucking school and told these people a piece of my mind. Because I get an email with a list of counselors saying we must have problems in our home because our child defaced the principal in the school yearbook. And I laughed at first. I was like, is it like anything, different than the usual, fluffy eyebrows and, she drew measles all over him. So I'm sitting here all day thinking that I'm waiting for devil horns and 666 and I'm just waiting for this grotesque picture of this yearbook. She gets home, I get this yearbook. She drew stripes on his t-shirt. He's got dots all over his face with a little bow tie that says, I love mom. I ask her, what are all these spots on his face? Mom, they're freckles. Kid, you don't even know what measles are, do you? No, she doesn't. But she had to write an apology letter to the principal for that. And they didn't even show him what she drew. The school fucked my kid up in a lot of ways. And God, everything in me says I wish that I would have done something. And I wish I would have fucking gone into that school and given them a piece of my mind. But the other problem is that you start to worry about how they're going to treat the kid for the rest of the year. Like when I found out one of her teachers made a comment to her about her not washing her hair in the middle of class in front of all of her classmates. And I send this teacher an email, and she's in like second or third grade. I'm like, this is like grade school. I'm not even kidding you. I send this teacher an email. She said something to my daughter about like, you don't ever even wash your hair, do you? And my kid's crying at home, and I send this teacher an email. I'm like, I should report you, but I know that you're going to treat my kid like dirt for the rest of the year. So I will say that if you have any other comments about my daughter's hygiene, you bring it to me. Because you're a teacher of prepubescent students, especially girls. And you of all people should know the changes in a girl's body that happen. I washed her hair myself. How dare you? How dare you as a teacher? So my poor kid gets all this crap, and come to find out later she's diagnosed with ADHD, and I should have had that. That's another thing I should have done, is had that evaluated a lot sooner. But so here we are. I'm dealing with my kid who has anxiety and some social issues, and she hates school, and she doesn't want to be there, and all of a sudden she meets up with this other group of girls who are all trans, and there's a bunch of them running around, and like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not going to teach you that there's something wrong with you, or there was something wrong with you when you were born. That's not my job as your mother. Because I love you. I love you more than any of these motherfuckers love you. And then, you start to talk to people about, well, hey, what do you think happens to, you start pumping these kids with hormones, and their brains aren't even fully developed yet. Our brains, our prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed until late teens, early 20s. And these are our brains that have, the functions of cognition and planning and being able to foresee consequences for actions. And, these are our major executive functions that don't fully develop until our late teens, early 20s. You're talking about pumping hormones into kids. How does that affect them? Short term, long term? Where's the research on this? Has there been any research done? You start asking questions about, take this to another level and look at, communities and health and public health, and start asking questions about, hey, are you aware that, there are tests being done around the country on drinking water, and they're testing for levels of different chemicals and things, and they're coming up with percentages of drugs like birth control, antidepressants. There were a couple of other things, and And so these things are getting into our drinking water because of our populations are so heavily dependent on them. And so what happens if laws pass that say that you can start doing hormone therapy on teens, children and teens, and now there's, surges of hormones being pumped into water, and what effects does that have on public health? And when you start asking these questions, you get no answers from these really open-minded people who are very accepting, and no, they're not at all. In fact, they just shut you right down. They shut you right down. They have no answers. They don't want to engage this discussion. They want to call you homophobic, transphobic. You're screwing up your kids psychologically. You need to go read some books written by some transgender people. That's what you need to do. And then they cut you off. They delete your comments, kick you out of the group, and they have absolutely nothing to say regarding any kind of science, regarding any kind of psychology, regarding any kind of anything. And then you get this shit from CPS when there's a call to them because there's domestic violence in your home. And they want to draw their attention to the fact that you're not catering to your child's gender dysphoria. Well, I'm sorry. I'm too busy trying to love my kid. I'm too busy trying to address other concerns that may or may not be related to this. I'm too busy trying to get my kid to love herself the way that she is before she decides that she's not good enough, or before the world gets to her head to tell her that there's something wrong with her. I'm a mom first. Anything after that doesn't really matter as much. Blessings. And I just send a message of peace to parents out there that are dealing with these same things, these same issues, and feel like they're backed in a corner, feel like nobody's listening, feel like you're fighting a losing battle. Love always wins, no matter what. Peace out.